Hello and welcome to YAP Back, the show where I yap and you yap back. Let's get straight down to it with patch 7.5. I absolutely loved it. To me, it made so much sense with how the void portals started creeping in and spreading all over Eorzea. Already by that point, I was sort of having my cogs whirling around going, like something's up here in terms of like is that like kind of like a leak, was my initial thoughts in terms of not necessarily things rejoining, because obviously that was alluded to in the Evercold trailer, but very much so in like, oh, are the shards gonna have like much more effect or much more volatile like effects on each other across the just like moving on and across the future expansions. So it was really great to sort of have that like be built up in a way that was very much subtext and then later on confirmed by the end of the or this first half of the patch. And I think obviously having the Godless Realm saga in the back of your head, it's just like I was thinking, well, this makes sense. We've never had an Aetheris that has been sharded and and separated so much. It's never existed in this state. It was either whole or it's had gods to maintain a stasis of its existence in the way that we know it to be, with the source and the 13 shards. And I think it better explains, or it doesn't retcon it, but it adds more value to why Hydaelyn is weaker than Zodiac and the Ascians and is unable to do stuff because, now it makes sense. She's literally holding back the slow natural momentum and movement where Aetheris itself is trying to rejoin into one. So she's not just separating the shards, she's then trying to stop that from happening. So like with each rejoining, it's obviously that's already burning through her strength, but that's probably also then allowing for the shards themselves and for Aetheris to start trying to heal the wound. Um, Sorry, make me think. Wow, heal the wounds, champion. I hope that's not a thing in this next expansion, but it's going to try heal the wound in terms of it coming together, and that's why Hydaelyn has these moments where she's just weak, which is absolutely valid. Like she really was holding it all together. So I love that because to me it just made so much sense, and it is it's a logical path forward, which I really loved. And then in that same context, I am a Vinar and Hydaelyn defender. I already doubted her by the end of Shadowbringers and the start of Endwalker, and in the first cutscene in Endwalker when she's speaking to us, I was just thinking and saying the whole time, I don't trust you anymore. I don't trust. Like, I think you're probably Zodiac. And then obviously by the end of Endwalker, I was just crying, and I was like, I can't believe I ever doubted you. So I'm not gonna doubt her now. I do think Hydaelyn knew. Just because the ancients lived much longer than us, they seemed much more savvy to the star. She herself was once a bearer of Azim's crystal, so she must know the star quite well. And just for the fact that the ancients could create things, I felt like they were very much more in tune in a way with its inner workings than we are. But yeah, and I also think from her statements, from the fact that she was aware by sundering it that she knew her actions wouldn't bring kindness or justice and left many to suffer. But like she's willing to pay those prices in order to sort of to save the greater picture. And I think that's sort of where we're at with it now. Is it is that we are saving. We have to look at the greater picture of. It's more that I don't know if we can save everyone. I don't think we should be able to save everyone. It's obviously quite. It's pretty much like a big like universal, or at least by the star is actually resetting itself. So it kind of doesn't make sense for us to save everyone. including some scions. I think it is time. Oh gosh, even the thought of it, it might be time to say goodbye to some of the scions because, not because I don't like them, I love them dearly, but if you really want some shock factor, like if they want me to get to like levels of like tears and just, I wasn't depression, but gosh, my emotions were all over the place during Endwalker and Shadowbringers. If you want me to get to that levels, you know, I'm gonna need some unexpected goodbyes that I'm not ready for. I'm not ready for goodbyes with the sounds, but I do need that level of emotional trauma in my life through this story, and some then emotional healing later on, hopefully through it as well. I also love the fact that for me it adds a lot more nuance to the Asians because, like, if Heidelin does know that this is like then the next like event that we have to sort of deal with, it doesn't, but definitely makes her more grey for me, um, as the Asians are. It's just that, and then with the Winterers as well and all that jazz, of how we're very much more two sides of the same coin. Um, Whereas like the Asians sort of became evil because in a way they sort of lost their initial sense of why they were doing things. Um, and obviously Hyland knew what she was doing, and therefore, if she knows the aftermath of her effects as well, that then ties into that greyness of, hey, in a way she is also sacrificing people in order to get a goal. It's just at a very much less rate, and that it sort of presents that idea that they focus on what they needed to do then and now to deal with the situation, and they will deal with whatever comes tomorrow afterwards. And that is sort of the boat that we are now in. And she's entrusted the fate of the star to us, and that's why I think she knew, and that's why I think she knows that we can deal with it. Or at least that's what it's alluded to from my interpretation. Um, yeah, and I think it's very much of a race now. Um, we are the new Vanar, and obviously the Asians and the one Asian and the Winterers are that band of merry good people. I don't know why I said that, but hey ho. Um, they are banded together very loosely, in my opinion, and it's more of a race to sort of see who can come up with a method first, because I don't think they know how to do the rejoining quite yet, because they want to do it slightly earlier than it naturally would, and we want to do it so it saves as many people as possible. Um, so that, yeah, for me it's definitely like it's going to those levels of they are doing it in a way that we disagree with, um, like with how the Asians were trying to save Aetheris. But I have compassion for why they want to do it the way they're trying to do it, and for what they. I have compassion for their motives, but I do disagree with their motives and methods, and that is where I feel like we're gonna be at against the Winterers and Hammerer. Um, which is exciting because I love that level of writing because it feels more real, it feels more nuanced, it feels much more grey, and it's not a binary good versus evil, and I think it also then allows for the introduction of the Winterers themselves. From our conversation with Calix, it does seem like it's much more of a loose alliance, where I fully expect to see some Winterers become that full-on antagonistic evil that we are going to have to be sidetracked to deal with while dealing with this all, where others then might actually become potential allies because they all have their own means, as Calix said, and they have their own goals and ambitions that they want to fulfill, and that is ultimately that is the difference between them and us. We all sort of share a more collective goal and ambition, and therefore we will always seek to work together. And that's pretty much why we succeed versus the villains that we face. But even the Asians split off quite a lot. Um, so yeah, I think again, there's just so many pathways opening up, and it's such an exciting time to like really be experience a new saga. because I came in Shadowbringers. The very end of Shadowbringers is when I started my playthrough of Final Fantasy XIV. So by the time I finished Shadowbringers, I think patch 7.55 came out, and then it was my first expansion was Endwalker. What a ride, honestly, what a ride. Um, Also, I think with Heidelin, and I rewatched some scenes, and she's like, she tells us the original bearer, the words of the original bearer of Asm's crystal, and I'm just going to paraphrase it, but when the way forward is hidden, even from the mind's eye, look not to the crystal, but within yourself. These are the words of its original bearer. And I think that is going to come into play in this expansion of Heidelin knowing and us sort of finding our own way forward. Or even I think it also alludes to how Azem from the convocation of 14, they left. And we don't ever find out fully what they were doing. We know they didn't join Heidelin either. And so if there was this like known idea that there is a greater threat, or at least there's a threat after Zodiac and Meteon, if there is that threat, what happens after? And maybe because Azem is the one that wanders the star, gets to know all its people, it makes sense for them to maybe sort of have that. They got that hidden mission, they got the secret mission to, okay, we're going to save the star this way, but how do we save the star after? And it's very much a question, was Venat in the know, or was that Azem just sort of like being at a loss at that time and then deciding, okay, I need to find my own way forward, and that's how they found their way forward, and that's what we are sort of walking within their footsteps now with the key, and that's why the key was made. Because I really wasn't expecting the key to start talking to us and like have a name called Ethos. So it definitely adds that idea that the key was made for a reason, and there is some greater plan, which I think I think we're seeing, we're experiencing as I'm like creating it almost. Well, not creating it, but like we're gonna figure out why it was created and why we can use it. I hope. That's what I hope at least. So yeah, there's a lot to take in. It was so much to take in, but it's so exciting. And it's only 9 months away, and we still got part 2. Yeah, like they really were like, yeah, vacation's over. It's time to eat all this good stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited to see where it goes. And I can't wait to come back to all the little threads now and all the theories and sort of bingo it and see what I might have got right, see what is completely off. And yeah, and also just as a side note, is Zero a warrior of light? Because I've not seen anyone else in the game. I mean, that's a lie. I've not seen anyone else in game job change like we job change on a dime. Obviously, the Scions have job changed, but it wasn't like they didn't just click their fingers and say the moon change like we do. So that is kind of cool. If we are gonna discover more reflections of ourselves, and in that idea of are we going to discover more reflections of ourselves by the end of this saga, are we going to become whole again? Are we going to be whole beings once more, or not? And how's that going to play out? Because if Atheris is whole, but the people aren't whole, how does that work? Or like then does like are new things going to be born which are whole, which makes them much more stronger than us? Are new people or new children born going to technically be born whole, or will they still be sundered if their parents were sundered? Yeah, it's going to be a lot to take in and interesting. Anyway, please let me know down in the comments what you thought about patch 7.5. What are your crazy theories? Please throw them out there. I would be excited to hear them. And please like and subscribe for more content. And thank you for listening. See ya.